It's warped. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is Erin.
My name is Matt.
I'm Jake.
Phillipe.
Min? Did Sean get in there?
I did.
Sean went first. I feel like the order got a little muddled, but that's okay.
I think
It's a mess.
Was that a new? Is that a new intro?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a modified.
It's different every week.
I like to throw you guys off. Yeah.
Threw me for
She does a different one every time.
That
That's
was-
what's fun.
I
about it.
actually really like that.
And
one.
we have
I didn't know when to pick it.
Right?
Turn. I-
Yep.
no one knew.
No one knew.
No one knew.
But I did
When
like
I
it was
know
like,
it's a success.
Go. And today we have a special guest with us.
Who's our special guest, Sean?
My wife.
Oh, brother. Have you been waiting?
Oh, you don't know how long I've had that bullet in my gun. I've been waiting all week to pull that one out, man.
That is
There you
depressing.
go. Bang, bang. Introduce yourself.
Hi, all. Thank you so much for having me.
Do you want to use a fake name? Some of us do. We probably should have asked you this. We probably should have asked you this before we started.
What do you want us to call you?
I'm Kate.
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 Nice.
Yes, and I am Sean's wife.
Yay.
And I am really honored and happy to join you all.
For now.
Welcome.
Is this your first podcast?
This is the first time I'm actually here witnessing the magic that all of you guys have been doing for a couple
25
of
years.
It's been
I know this brings
Only
endless
dog
joy.
years, right?
So
I know it feels like 25 years.
Right. Yeah.
Start 8 years.
Yeah. Start dates.
And you also don't listen to the podcast. So you're really coming in sort of
Like all of us.
like
So you're
coming in.
So you're one of those
Yeah.
few
Yes.
Americans that don't listen
Yeah.
to the podcast.
Right.
really not a bad wife.
No.
Really not.
I wouldn't tell you to listen. I would never encourage anyone.
There are members of this show that don't listen to the episodes, so
You're a-
don't ever feel
You're a
like
better
you need
wife
to-
because you don't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us don't listen while we're doing.
There you
No, but I still enjoy it and I adore all of you. I think it's nice to be in a room with really, really smart people. So
And we are back
And-
together. We're physically in the room again. It's
It's
so
nice.
It is.
All
Our
breathing
second
each other's
time.
air.
Yep.
Just like the way COVID wants us to.
So what are we watching today, Erin?
Hollow Pursuits.
Oh.
And let's see. I got
Yeah.
45 minutes and 47 seconds on the clock. Punch in the triangle in 3, 2, 1, punch.
Barclay's pretty cool.
Oh.
Yep.
Is this the Barclay
So I
episode?
really-
To meet
So this
Lieutenant
is
Barclay.
yeah. So this is the first episode. There he is.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you
There's our gal, Guinan.
Hell yeah.
She doesn't get much to do in this episode.
Are you
No,
talking
but
about-
her next outfit is slamming. So
Yeah.
just wait.
Is that the hat that has a little extra wobble in it?
hmm
Oh, yeah.
Great color. She's got a nubby texture to her gown.
Is that the same actor who plays Murdoch in A-Team?
It
Oh,
is.
man,
It
it
is.
is.
Oh, man.
What?
And he just got aggressive.
Did
Yeah.
Did he push Jordy?
He did. He
Yeah.
just he barely touched him, and Jordy flew across the room.
So watch out.
Now he's taking
Look
out
at
Riker.
what is. Have we
What
ever
is
seen
Troy?
Deanna wear that dress?
all
before?
into him. No,
Yeah.
no.
Usually that dress is on my
Oh.
bedroom floor.
Right, buddy. Take this, Riker.
So Kate Riker is sort of like the manly man on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and he's getting handled.
he just got handled
Yeah.
By-
easily
By the
by
guy.
Murdoch from the A-Team.
Did he go Mr. T on
He
him?
slipped Mr. T a roofie.
Yeah.
Made him
Then
drink
he
some
went-
milk.
Then he went and beat up Riker.
Next thing you knew, he was in Buenos Aires.
I
No
know.
idea how he
Yeah.
got-
But now he's going to go get the girl, right?
I think Riker's
Right.
beard is gonna leave him. Like, yeah, man.
Jordy
This didn't
literally
work out.
flees, like he
Yeah.
runs out of the room.
This has to be a dream sequence or something. No way.
I mean, what does Star Trek use instead of dream sequences, man?
the hologram?
Yeah, there it is.
Hey, Kate, what did we have? Did we not have this exact same
We
conversation
had the exact
when we
same
watched
conversation. When
So
we
they're
had
in the
this.
holodome.
It's
Yeah, they're in
the
the
holodome.
They're in the
this? The
Thunderdome.
holodeck.
Holodeck. We had this exact same conversation because I was like, "There's no way that this guy is
Yeah,
taking
you're like,
out
something's
Riker
wrong here."
and Jordy and getting the girl."
Right.
And see, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm late for work.
Now you've been introduced to Lieutenant Barclay.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
I love
To
it.
bark,
Lieutenant
ruffle.
Barclay.
I love Lieutenant Barclay.
He's amazing.
bad.
I have a lot of thoughts about him that we'll get to.
Yeah.
Sean's going to do the stats here in a minute.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts about Lieutenant Barclay and about
Oh.
the themes of this episode because
So,
it's stuff that we've talked about a lot. We've talked about a couple of big
right.
things on this show that this episode kind of explores for the first time. But right now, Jordy is just bitching about Barclay.
Yeah.
He's like,
Guys,
he's
late all the
late.
time.
He doesn't. He's like, he's so socially
I like how
awkward.
he hides behind the bin.
He
Yeah.
literally hides from me, so I don't know where he is.
I love it.
Riker's like done with this cat too, man.
Yeah.
Right, like Riker.
Done.
Riker has so little patience for Barclay.
Yeah.
Like, Riker is such an alpha dog.
Yes.
He just has no. He just can't be bothered with
Does
people
not
like
suffer
Barclay.
fools.
Yeah.
And Barclay's not even a fool. He's just like
Just like a normal, very
normal.
Yeah, he's a guy who has a job but doesn't. It's not his whole life. It's
Right.
like I.
But like I mean, Riker's job as second in command is to be sort of in charge of the staff, right? Like managing the people is kind of one of his big jobs. So
And this
look at
reflects
he
badly on
shakes
him.
he just shakes his head as he walks out of there. He's
His
like-
beard shaked his head.
Well, he's
for him.
kind of not a very good manager because he basically just tells him like,
Berated him.
I feel like nobody in Star Trek in Star Federation is a good manager. 'cause
Picard is.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Picard is the one who
everybody.
fixes
has-
it.
I know, but everybody is a perfect employee, so there's no like real management you have to do.
you know what? It's funny you say that because Picard actually mentions that in this
Yeah.
episode. He actually says, I'm not used to seeing one of my crew members getting like bad reviews like this.
Yeah.
Like Picard never has to deal with shit
I know.
like this because Riker is his bulldog and Riker keeps these people in line.
It's interesting. We never get a character. We've never gotten a character like Barclay.
We're going to talk about it in
Yeah.
detail.
Yeah.
Let's get the
Sean,
specs
give us
here.
the specs.
Yeah.
We're watching Hollow Pursuits, original air date April 28th, 1990. It's season 3, episode 21. A shy member of the Enterprise, in quotes, crew becomes addicted to the holodeck where relationships are easier than real life when his knowledge is needed in engineering. Erin, what do you think the IMDb rating of this episode is?
Wow. I don't know about IMDb, but
What do you watched the episode? What do you give?
I
it?
liked it. I'm going to give it an 8.
All
Oh,
right. Kate is the other woman in the room. You get to go next. What would
There's
you
no prize
rate?
there's no prize for winning. So
No prize
don't
for
look,
winning.
You look nervous.
We try to
I know
guess.
loss.
We try to guess what the rating on IMDb.
On a scale of 1 to
Rating?
10,
On
what
a
do
1
you
to
think
10
the
thing.
nerds on the internet gave this?
Nerds?
Yeah.
Well,
it's people that would
IMDb
vote on IMDb
what would you
Yeah.
give it?
for a Star Trek
I'd give
episode.
it for a Star Trek episode. I'd be right there at an 8 too. I think.
Well, you have to choose something else.
Oh,
Can't
Price,
sorry.
price is right
Ooh.
rules.
Okay,
Give it-
I'll give it 7.5.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
It's probably going to be lower, but I think it's a.
I think it's better than that. I think it's probably an 8-1.
Ooh.
8-2.
Well, it does touch a subject that touches a lot of people's
That's
lives.
a rude maneuver.
yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You could have waited.
I know.
Phillipe. Jay?
I think this is a 9.5.
Damn, girl.
I'll go high on it.
Barclay on
8-3,
me.
8-3.
8-3.
7.8.
Uh,
Kate wins by Price is Right rule.
Alright.
Mm.
Woo!
What the heck? This
So
Yes,
I have to ask.
good in
I have to ask Kate real quick. 'cause
Yes.
I make everybody answer this question.
all guests.
Oh,
What is your pre-relationship to Star Trek? What do you know? What have you seen?
Especially considering that you're married to one of us and you've been friends with the rest of us for 20 plus
That
years
is true.
or so.
That is true. So, well, as far as with Star Trek specific, with all of you, it's been amazing and wonderful. With Star Trek, I've seen the movies,
All right.
and I
The original
with
cast and
the original
the Next
cast
Generation
and Next
one,
Generation. Yes, seen the movies,
and
enjoyed the
the
movies.
J.J. Abrams movies.
Yes, and I have seen the J.J. Abrams movies as well. Yes, I know.
Why are you answering her question?
They coached.
asked her
Were you
question?
coached on any of these questions? The court would like to know.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I have. I object.
Yeah.
And, objection. Coaching the witness. Like, you asked her what her experience with Star Trek was.
What do you
and
really
then you
think?
told her what her experience with Star Trek was.
You guys are cute.
Don't forget you watched the J.J. Abrams movie on the night of the murder. You
We
were
talked
busy,
about
we
this.
were
busy
together.
watching the J.J. Abrams movies.
I did not disappear for 3 hours. That's unaccounted
You
for.
were not mysteriously missing for 4 hours.
I'm already warped.
You were watching Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah.
You can tell us the truth.
Go on.
Well, after a build up like that, no, I've seen the movies. I was a Next Generation fan. I did watch it while it was on the air back in the day where you couldn't DVR it or or record it. So if you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, you didn't. Overall, I mean, I consider myself a nerd too, more on the Star Wars side.
You've watched the original series as well?
I have watched episodes of the original series. I have not been as dedicated as all of you to watch every
We don't know how we do it either.
episode.
I don't think a family can absorb two people.
It's it's how 4 years feels like 25.
Yeah.
Is that what happens? Yeah. No, but I do appreciate Star Trek and all the messages and the characters, and I'm a huge Picard fan. Love my Renaissance man.
Yeah, baby.
Love him. And
He's the best.
and live long and prosper.
Is he your fave next gen character?
So we
He
just
is my
missed the
fave
part
Star
where
Trek
like they
character.
had they looked at Barclay's review and it was like the first time he'd ever seen a below target.
Right.
It was like he wasn't sure what was going on, and then he told Jordy he has to be best friends with.
No, Picard gave him good advice, managing advice.
Yeah. So, Mind, you're the only person here who has not seen this episode,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Did you watch it? Phillipe, did you watch it?
I watched this. Yes.
Okay. Had you seen it
Religiously.
before?
Probably, but
Phillipe, had you seen it before?
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite episodes.
It's really good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's way better than 7.8.
Yeah, I was
That's
shocked
ridiculous,
when
yeah.
I saw that was the rating.
I think it's like I always feel like this is like if a normal person like
Absolutely.
like normal but like decent.
I'm sorry.
person,
This is what any of us would be
like
if we were in
yeah.
Starfleet.
When can I go back to
If
the
a room full of Rosses shows up on the...
Yeah.
So,
We're all socially awkward.
Yeah.
I'm not. What are you talking about?
I'm not either.
But we
I-
all care about much about our jobs as
I'm a
Barclay.
delight. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I mean, what drives me crazy is there's a scene where, or I guess this is the scene where he comes in like 5 seconds
is
too
hard.
late, and then he's late. It's like,
And then he gets schooled by Wesley.
yeah, I'm like,
So let me give you a quick plot summary,
Hell yeah.
Min. So since you haven't seen this episode, so Lieutenant Barclay, there he is.
Yeah.
Dwight Schultz.
would you
is
call
his
that
name,
guy
really.
late? No.
He was like 5 seconds late.
Yeah.
Although Jordy did say to him,
Be there.
Don't be
early.
late.
Yeah, don't be
Well, that was fine. That's not late.
sometimes you have traffic.
Yeah.
No?
That doesn't.
It takes a whole minute for 9 o'clock become 9:01.
Yeah.
Right?
Come
I'm
on.
saying.
Yeah,
That
that
whole
was-
time it's still 9
yeah,
o'clock.
technically he was on time.
Yeah. You made an entrance is all.
They left 10 minutes on the cutting room floor that you didn't want to.
We've talked a lot on this podcast about how everyone on the Enterprise is like a super type A, like overachieving, like excellent at they're all the rock stars of their respective jobs.
And they're
right?
also all incredible team players, which is so fucking annoying.
'Cause we-
right? Yeah. It's just not realistic at all. That
well, it's a
everybody-
utopia.
I
you
know, but you're just like you're like my
It's called
constant.
utopia for a reason.
And-
It's utopian.
I know,
Are.
but it just seems like even utopians need to deal with normal variance in human population. It's
Isn't
just
that
like-
why they go and visit, random
I think the
places
point is
and
that
go on-
normal variants wouldn't be on the Enterprise, right? Like, because the Enterprise is supposed to be like the cream of the crop, right?
Okay.
So and we've talked before about how you never see until Lower Decks came along, which that's sort of the whole premise of that show is showing just like
All the barking.
what the normal people who work in Starfleet,
The
what their
Barclays.
lives are like.
Yes.
Now, this is real, right?
Our guys
Is
are
real.
the bridge crew.
Yeah.
So not only are they on the best ship in the fleet, they're the most important people on the ship.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's really interesting about this episode is that it's introducing this character who we will see again. He becomes a sort of a recurring character on the show.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's interesting to see somebody like this
Holodeck.
having to live in and sort of live up to the
I don't think
ideals
this is the holodeck.
of Starfleet.
Although she says C. Sorry, Matt. We didn't mean to be having a side conversation
No, it's
here.
okay. This
But
is
Min and I are
absolutely the
trying to
holodeck.
follow.
This is the
We're-
holodeck.
This is the
It's 'cause
holodeck here.
She's in that teal dress.
Oh,
That's the sexy
is that
dress.
what gave you
I
away?
see
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Checking.
If you see anybody,
Oh,
And do you
this
think
is the
that
holodeck.
didn't happen in the holodeck? Yeah.
You know,
I think Barclay and Troi just macking it up
Yeah.
in real life.
Nice.
if you see anybody having a positive reaction towards him, it's all the holodeck.
Yeah. Exactly.
The second people treat him like a regular person,
Yeah.
not the holodeck.
unusual. Wait, so
Yeah, if you see him say more than 2 words at a time, it's the holodeck.
Barclay program
he's-
53.
He's a terrible stutterer.
Well, what you
Wow.
what you just missed, Min, was him saying that he was bored
Yeah.
by making out with Counselor Troi.
Uh-huh.
So he had to make the scenario more
More-
interesting
Oh
for
my
himself.
God. Ooh.
So he's created this sort of like Ren Fair
fantasy.
Yeah, she calls herself the goddess of empathy in this
Yeah.
moment.
That's quite the dress.
It's quite the dress.
Oh my god.
Very Hellenic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All sorts of very creepy, icky ramifications from this for sure.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they
So
haven't
this
dealt
is-
with this before this episode.
Well, we've talked about it, but this is the second interesting thing about this episode, aside from Barclay being just sort of what it's like to be a normal guy on the
Broccoli.
show.
Yep.
Their nickname for him is Broccoli.
Picard does not think that's funny,
No.
But he still calls him broccoli. They-
but
They still do it.
Well, it's not funny, but it's necessary.
And so the other interesting thing about this episode is that it deals with the sort of ethics of the holodeck, which is something we've talked about a lot. Like, what is it okay to do and not do on the holodeck?
No kidding.
Is it okay to make replications of the people who you work with and make them into your holographic
porn.
sex slaves? Like,
Are there
kind of fun.
Starfleet rules around it?
they say in this episode, Geordi says
There's no specific.
there's no specific rules against making replications of people you know.
Ooh, yeah.
And Riker's like,
Wait,
well, there
what's
should
going on
be.
there?
Oh, it reminds me. I was going to poke holes in all your cups today. So, next time.
That would have been a good.
So this episode is not just about Barclay. There is actually a plot, and the plot
There's
is
something happening. to the
there's
ship.
weird shit happening on the ship, and they don't know what it is.
Yeah, stuff is falling apart.
Things are malfunctioning. Glasses are leaking.
And it's
Well, there
all
was
these weird
gas
things.
leaking out of one of those canisters earlier, right?
Well spotted.
Well, isn't that why?
Oh, that's
Barclay
right. You
got-
saw this already. You know
No,
the
but
answer.
isn't that why Barclay got called in and was criticized? Because one of the container
over.
that was carrying those canisters was broken or not
he was
functioning
supposed to
well?
be fixing the anti-gravity platformy
Right,
thing,
right. That was
and he-
carrying those canisters.
and it broke.
Yeah.
And he screwed it up.
Yeah.
He's not good at destroying the laws of physics. Like, yeah.
But if you think about it, there already had to be a problem with those canisters, or else the anti-grav thing wouldn't have malfunctioned.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So it really wasn't Barclay's fault to start with.
This is one of those. This is why the filters in the holodeck need to be cleaned regularly.
Right.
Exactly. We were like, the mop job you have to do after a Barclay session is like,
Yeah,
It's-
and they've shown the
No.
Yeah.
No.
This is what I mean, you know, like what's okay to do on the holodeck. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all imaginary. So
I remember having like a kind of gross. I think I remember having.
I mean,
discussion
yeah.
with-
No,
with
but not
Sean
for the
back
person
in the
who's
day
physically in there.
about the things that we like.
Well-
how far can you go? Like,
I think you can go.
can
pretty
you
far.
fuck a sheep if you want to on the holodeck?
yeah,
It's an imaginary sheep.
yeah.
But then what? Really?
could you?
You're not hurting anything.
You're not. You're
Yeah, but
theoretically, you're not doing anything wrong.
I mean, then you could get into like pedophilia. But if it's all on the holodeck, like, what is like it's gross.
No.
Yeah, it opens up all of these really
No.
unpleasant
Gross.
avenues.
No.
Spoiler alert! It's kind of like when Troy's like, "It's healthy. It's his outlet. It's his therapy."
It's something you do.
So it's her.
Yeah.
Troy's a little bit of a hypocrite in this episode.
little
A little
She's
bit.
Yeah.
She's human.
She like her 180 is
Oh,
really
Well,
that's
she's
great.
half human, Erin.
But he just
actually,
had
if you
his-
wanna get specific.
Called him Mr. Broccoli.
Thank you for that clarification.
I love how happy that
I know Riker thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Riker thought that was hilarious.
Riker's an immature.
I think Riker was probably a bully at an earlier point in his life,
Yes,
right?
I agree.
Doesn't he give off kind of bully vibes?
Totally.
Well, his dad's a bully, so it would make sense.
That's true. His dad is a bully.
Poor Riker. Leave Riker alone.
I'm saying his dad was a bully.
I'm just saying
so,
he's a
you
little
know.
bit unsympathetic.
Oh, yeah.
There's-
Hell yeah, right?
Look at that
Look
sucker.
at the
Is that shag
soft.
carpeting on the
It
side?
looks like a beehive.
I want to pet her arm. I want
Oh,
that.
Yeah, up
I
close.
No,
want
they're
that.
like bath mats.
It looks like if you had
Yeah.
a really awesome van in the early 80s.
Yeah.
This is the inside of it.
Yeah.
She also looks
Of
like
Muppets.
the lost Teletubby. A little bit.
Spray painted
The
on the
first.
outside of the
Yeah.
van.
They put like
It's
one of
great.
those hot hand things on top of her, glued it to
The
the.
color suits
color's
her.
awesome.
She
When
pulls
she
it
starts
up.
shaking her head, watch that.
Yeah,
like, the
it
drink
bobbles.
tray start wobbling. Man.
Mhm.
It's pretty mesmerizing.
But they don't bring this back, right? They I think I've seen her in other outfits like
She has.
multiple times.
I feel like she's never in the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Like, there's the shake.
Wugga wugga wugga.
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I want it.
That is such an interesting
I think that's the
texture.
way her brain is shaped. It's just like that's a skull.
They just put her in amazing outfits all the time.
That whole hat is skin tight.
Philippe and I watched Boys on the Side this week.
Yeah.
What's that?
Speaking of
With-
Whoopi Goldberg,
Yeah. That was a
Was
90s.
that Whoopi Goldberg and
Drew
Drew
Barrymore,
It's Drew
Barrymore?
Barrymore. Yeah.
and Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah.
That's the third one.
Yeah.
It's a great cast.
Like you didn't know.
I honestly couldn't remember the third one.
Mhm. That is a great cast.
We should have asked Min if he could
No,
name.
no way. Beyond me.
Name three.
So
three
what?
actresses.
Oh, there we did some shaking again. You see
Yeah,
it?
that was a good chase.
So, Mint, what's happened is Geordi has gone to Jean-Luc and said, this guy is driving
Can't
me
work with
crazy. I can't work with him. I want him off my crew. And Jean-Luc is like, hey, you're a Starfleet officer, and I expect you to do a better job of managing your team. And I'm not going to let you just dump this guy because you're having problems with him. I expect you to, figure it out and get him up to standard. So Geordi is like going around trying to figure out, talking to Guinan, trying to figure out how he's going to get through to Lieutenant Barclay, because so far nothing has really worked.
Right.
He's tried being overly nice, and that didn't really work.
Oh, whoa.
So now he's catching him.
Yeah.
Guinan
think
gave him
this
some good advice, which was,
She did.
try and approach him on his own.
on his
own
interests
wavelength.
and his own. Yep.
So, but now Geordi is about to discover
Stumble upon.
what
Yeah.
Barclay's secret shame.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Is that?
I love Wesley.
Is that Dr. Crusher?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Is like Lord Fauntleroy.
Yeah, the little
He's
Lord.
dressed like,
And he's a little dick.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Wesley being.
Well,
a little
I think there
dick.
should be a rule that you can't creep up on people when
Right.
they're on the
He's just
holiday.
eating the whole pie.
Because earlier in the episode, we saw Wesley like sort of
slap him.
shut him down
Yeah.
scientifically by correcting his science.
Yeah.
So of course Barclay hates Wesley.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people hate Wesley, but
Yeah. Get in line.
There you go.
yeah,
like all the
Wesley.
Captain
Wesley is
Morgan.
supposed to look like that painting, The Blue Boy. You know, the famous
Yeah.
painting, Blue Boy.
Yeah.
That's how they've got him dressed. Is like that.
My grandparents had a print of that in their bedroom.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. You need to get the juices
Don't
flowing.
encounter them on the holodeck.
So it's kind of like a mishmash of time periods. Like these guys are the Three Musketeers, but then Deanna seems to be like a
Like
sort of
Greek,
Greek goddess
yeah.
type. So
You know.
it's a mishmash of various Ren Fair styles.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There's a couple of bad
Barclay.
stunt shots where that's clearly not Murdoch from the
Yeah.
A-Team.
Yeah, right.
You're right there. It's so obvious.
They didn't even hide the
A guy with the full head of hair.
Well, they weren't anticipating us watching it on a 20-foot wide projector.
In higher definition.
Is that Picard?
Yep.
Sure is.
Oh man, Barclay's gonna be in trouble.
Well, no, because it's his fantasy, so he always wins, right?
No.
Oh, you mean when they find out?
Yeah.
Jordy's not happy.
So if you found out that, forget about the sex stuff. I think we can all agree the sex is crossing a line. But if you found out that somebody was making parody versions of you on the holodeck just to mess around with you, not even like sexy, but just like just to like mock you essentially behind your back, what would your feelings about that be? Like, well, it's the holodeck, so anything goes? Or would you be like, I don't want people making recreations of me on the holodeck?
I don't want to know about it, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's any of my business.
So you're gonna be like,
So it's a don't ask, don't tell.
I'm kind
Yeah,
of
Jordy.
you do you.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should be allowed to walk in on the holodeck when it's in progress.
what?
Yeah.
Unless it's an
Privacy
But it's on a
emergency.
naval or whatever.
This is a military.
Well, I think
go.
Jordy,
I know.
Jordy's a
He
boss.
needed-
I think he
yeah,
can,
I get it, but at the same time, I'm just like,
I feel like there's.
I'm surprised. This shit seems like as soon
I
as
think
you
Jordy of all
open the
people
door,
should
it
know.
immediately goes
Yes.
back to holodeck
Yeah.
door.
That's what I'm surprised
It should be like you
about.
shutting your screen on your laptop.
But then it's just you lying face down naked on the floor. Like the holodeck just vanishes.
Yeah.
And it's just you
Yeah.
pumping the
I
ground.
think the best analogy is there should be an Alt-Tab. Like we all have it.
Yeah.
There should be an Alt-Tab
Yeah.
to a spreadsheet.
You hit all
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah. I was just working on my pivot table.
I was doing the profit and loss report.
Exactly. And it's just like the program knows to like.
Yeah.
May and I were actually talking about that. That did come up during our watching of this, like the whole lack of privacy and what things people would naturally do. And like you can't lock the holodeck door, but you can like create a world where there is a locked door.
Right in front
You know,
of it.
Right.
God.
You
Wherever
should
you
just
want.
create like a mile-long hallway before you get to where the real thing is.
Yep.
Or at
Then
least
you
a
have
warning
plenty of
system.
notice. Somebody is coming.
Yeah.
I feel like then the bosses would be just like, whatever, warp me to the thing. But I guess they can't because they don't do that in this. Like they're looking for him forever. So
Yeah, they don't think to turn. Well, they do think to. Deanna tells them not to because Riker wants to just shut the holodeck
Yeah, because
off
we can't find him.
because they can't find him. And Deanna's like, no, this is his. It would be psychologically damaging to him to turn off the holodeck while he's in his fantasy land.
Humping the
a
floor.
Dockers ad just walked by in the background there. That was weird.
Well, I have to give Jordy credit on this one because he actually, instead of being ultra offended and taking it super personal, he actually points out that this could be therapeutic for him and that clearly Barclay has
That's because Jordy's
issues.
cut from the same
And he,
cloth.
like, and he's telling him, hey, you need to go talk to Counselor Troi. You need to go and take
the
care of
real counselor.
because
Right.
because clearly you got stuff going on.
So, Kate, you and I were talking before we started recording that this show is largely episodic. You don't need to know a lot
Absolutely.
to jump into this show.
Which-
but they do occasionally call back things, and they just did in that scene because
They did?
Geordi says, I fell in love once on the holodeck too, so I know what it's like.
Oh, he
Which is
really
a reference
did?
to an earlier episode where Geordi fell in love with a creation of his on the holodeck.
Oh.
So that was
It was Barclay.
So there's
ironically.
yeah. Weirdly, it was actually Murdoch from the A-Team.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
whole like
Yeah.
It wasn't Mr. T?
He
It
was
was a whole
he was
80s
Mr. T in the fantasy,
Yeah.
and
Geordi was living out his '80s Mohawk
Yeah.
fantasies.
and then he just like when he got drugged, he like
I
woke
think
up.
Jordy would be a fan of the A-Team.
yeah,
Yeah.
who isn't?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
MacGyver too.
Now
He
this
probably
is
goes to the
not
holodeck
in
and
Hollywood.
recreates A-Team
What are we thinking, man?
episodes.
She's wearing that dress.
That's her usual.
That's her normal
That's
one
her
these
normal
days.
dress.
that's not her sexy Barclay.
That's the one that pushes her left boob up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
let's right
Barclay
move
seems
lie.
stressed, so I think this is real.
This is real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when he's in the holodeck, you
He's
can't
super
tell
relaxed.
right now because we're not listening to the sound, but he's very suave when
Yeah.
he's on the holodeck.
He's being
And he stammers and stutters when he's
Hesitant.
out in the real world.
lack of confidence.
Don't you think therapy would be better in like a dark environment rather than?
Oh, don't worry, she'll take care of that. She's going.
That's what the plan.
Oh, lean. Oh, I see. Wait,
Now,
maybe this
see,
is in the holodeck.
to me, this gives an interesting view into what Troy's
Right?
typical
I
like
know.
what
we haven't
therapy
been in our
sessions
thoughts
are.
What is
before.
her-
Let me turn the lights
yes.
down,
Like,
But
and
can't
you
she
lay
also
back.
read minds?
But she sits next to him on the couch and tells him to lean back. It's okay.
Man.
She does.
But doesn't
touch
she
therapy.
read minds?
Yeah.
No, she
Emotions.
reads feelings.
Sense feel.
Oh, she can sense feelings.
Only
Like,
full betazoids can read thoughts.
Well
What?
remembered.
Betazoids.
Wow.
Betazoid?
She's a half betazoid.
a what?
She's half alien.
He's making it up. There's no such thing. He's just playing.
Well, it is made up. That's true.
But Min.
Oh, ooh, she touched him.
But wait, when she touches people, can she?
She doesn't even need to touch them.
Oh, she just can
the
sense
range
emotion.
of her
Right.
being able to see is very tricky because she can feel people that are like millions of light years away.
Yeah.
What?
She's actually not doing a very good therapy session.
no.
No.
'Cause,
Then
No.
she's supposed to be able to sense emotions, right?
Right.
And
Sense
she-
that he's
and she can't
uncomfortable.
sense that-
sense how like freaked out and uncomfortable.
I
Yeah.
feel like she's
and
never.
she's making him.
She's never did therapy to anybody that's like.
Well, again, how much therapy could they need? They're all perfect
I
human
know.
Right,
beings.
right.
It's
right?
just like very minor course corrections for like super elites, you know.
she's never
An
met
old
somebody
Barclay.
like Barclay before.
Like,
Yeah.
like a
Jesus
normal-
Christ, I don't know what to do with
She's
this
like,
guy.
you're fucked up.
He had an erection. He was just like stammering. Like
Yeah, all of the
She's
meters-
she's only ever met like Nietzsche and Superman and like aliens from
Yeah.
bizarre races.
who were like the elite of their group.
Well, it would be hard to read Barclay, but don't you think all of the readings would be off the charts?
Uh-oh.
I feel like they'd be just normal, I mean, on her the charts were there where like it goes from like
See, Riker's fed up.
Riker is fed up.
he's
Yeah.
pissed.
He's done.
And it's funny that Geordi doesn't warn. Like, Geordi knows where they're going.
But he wants
Yeah.
this to happen. I think he
yeah.
wants this to happen.
I mean, he
think
Well,
so.
wait, he does say like he's been running some unique.
yeah, but you could be more specific.
He's
than
not.
that.
He knows more.
That's his fallback alibi position. So when they tell him,
I
"Why did
told you.
go?"
I told
I
you.
tried to warn
I
you.
tried to warn you. You guys wouldn't listen.
Yeah,
You can run the vids.
yeah.
Like you say, remember, Geordi's fallen in love in the holodeck too.
That's
so
true.
So
Yeah.
he has empathy.
No, he
He's
wants
the
to.
goddess of empathy.
He wants the rules. That's why he's such an, that's
himself.
why he's so an expert on the regulations in the holodeck. He's like, look, you can.
I did my
Yeah,
research.
I had to look it up once. Don't ask why.
Exactly, yeah. I know what you can and can't do in the holodeck.
Yeah, and I feel like Geordi's just shoving Barclay under the bus right now because he could have not done that.
That's true.
But I think,
He needs help with this one though. He's like, look, this is what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And, I'm not prepared for this.
I mean, partly Geordi wants Barclay kind of thrown under the bus because he wants like somebody else to take some of the responsibility here.
Phillipe, you said this is one of your favorite episodes. Was it because? Why is that? And what?
I think
do you remember when you watched it for the first time?
I thought it was such an unusual character. I
Yep.
felt like weird about like I had like a really weird feeling like that like I was kind of like really curious where they were going, and I liked that they left it like I like the way they end it in a way that was like unusual for the series. Like I thought they were just gonna get rid of him, and they sort of at the end I was like, well, they didn't get rid of him, and I thought that was really unusual. So,
And they also don't like fix him.
yeah, they don't
you know,
fix him.
Like
right? He's still weird. And I thought like, wow, he's like the most. You know, I think like some part of me was like, you're supposed to see yourself as Wesley a little.
You're right. You're just Wesley eating pie in the
Yeah.
background.
But now it was like, oh, there's a real person on the Enterprise, and he's kind of like he's good-ish at his job, but not perfect. I don't know.
he figures out the problem.
Well, he does turn out to be. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean,
the best one.
short.
They must have had a
Baby
lot
Riker.
of fun doing this episode,
Yeah.
like getting to dress
I
up and
agree.
be all wacky.
I love how
They're
they use
curly
the
wigs.
perspective to make him look smaller.
Yeah, he made him super short.
Yeah.
This is just giving Riker ideas of what to do.
They like
all
had
that
Jonathan Frakes like stand inside the camera for that shot where he's looking down on him.
See, Deanna thinks this is all a hoot.
Yeah.
Well,
Until-
for now.
Until it's her.
Turned on her.
Till the tides have turned.
Yeah.
Then Riker thinks it's the funniest thing in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really like, they're kind of mean to each other. They're both like, ha ha.
I know. Nobody really takes the high road on this.
You can tell that's why they don't have Jean-Luc like be the one of the ones who finds them, because he would have just shut it down. Like
Right.
he would not have like entertained this the way these three are.
Yeah.
So
Do you really think he would have?
Yes. He would have been.
Oh, Jean-Luc doesn't put up with this kind of nonsense. Unless you're playing a hard-boiled 1930s detective.
Yeah.
Jean-Luc has no interest in your holodeck
Right.
scenario.
Or you're riding a horse.
Yeah,
You're
it's,
riding
either,
a
it's
horse.
either that or dressage.
Yeah. Exactly.
No in between.
Yeah.
Oh.
How does that taste, Deanna? Is that bitter pill you're swallowing? Riker look at that shit-eating grin he's got.
So
on
I
his
want to
face.
read you guys real quick. So Memory Alpha is the website. It's the wiki page for that of Star Trek, basically. Right?
Okay.
So this is the wiki. This is the Memory Alpha entry for this episode, and I just want to read this paragraph because it's so not in the wiki style. Like it's not like impartial or encyclopedic sounding at all. It's clearly written by somebody who had some like artistic ambitions. There's nothing wrong with a healthy fantasy life as long as you don't let it take over, are the famous last words before Troi sets eyes on her counterpart, the goddess of empathy. Troy's jaw drops and steam nearly pours from her ears. So red is her face.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah?
true.
It's so.
Troy seems fit to slap both Riker and LaForge when they agree that Barclay has a healthy fantasy life. She seems fit to slap them. Did you know that?
That's like
would
taking a
agree.
little bit of license there.
It's a little bit of artistic license
Yeah.
in the official
I think
recap
Barclay
of
wrote
this
that
episode.
piece.
Yeah, I think Barclay wrote it. But she does seem unduly upset. Like she's a therapist and she's like so
Well, now
like
she's connecting the dots. Don't you think?
Yeah, but she still should have a this is how people are.
this
kind
is
of
her
view of the
realm.
world.
Like this is like
Right.
I was gonna
She
say
should
the
be
hypocrisy
more-
is.
yeah, she should be like more.
But this is more fun.
Yeah, it is more.
She tells her to muzzle it.
Yeah,
So they bring Barclay back.
Yes.
several times,
Wow.
I mean, not a lot, but
like 3 or 4 times at least.
I looked it up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Don't wake him.
I like that. This is all Gates McFadden gets to do this episode is stroke Barclays.
Yeah, she's not in it as herself. She's only in it as the holodeck version.
They really sexed her up, too.
Yeah, they did a good job.
She's in he's in 5 episodes of this show. He's in the movie, one of the movies.
Oh,
And he's
that's
in
right.
6 episodes of Star Trek Voyager.
Does he ever have a redeeming moment where he's like has a hero's moment?
Well, what they figure out in this episode is that he actually is smart because he ends up solving the problem.
He has a hero moment in this episode.
Oh,
He ends up saving the ship.
gotcha.
But it's not like everybody else's hero moment. It's just like, I mean, it's more of like it doesn't redeem all. They don't like. It doesn't like sort of put everything else he does into some kind of like, oh well, it's
Sure.
like it leaves it like a little bit like he's still like
He's always like this.
Yeah.
Like he's always socially awkward and
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and that never changes.
But he's good at his job.
They just sort of figured out how to make him,
effective.
working well in his job.
So there is a reason that he is on the starship. Like he can do things. He's not just like
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of go like they go this far as to say like he's done well in the past, and
He's been highly recommended by his previous captain. They're starting now to think that might have been a joke. They actually mentioned that in the
Yeah.
episode that they think that the guy had
Yeah.
was mean and said something.
Yeah, but he's good at his job. Like eventually,
I don't think you get onto the Enterprise without some base credentials.
Yeah, I think that's probably true too.
Is it?
And then later he becomes like kind of a semi-regular
Yeah.
member of the gang.
Right.
You know?
There's a couple. Is there another Barclay focused one?
There's a couple.
Yeah.
There's the one where he becomes like a genius.
Yeah.
Right.
There's one where he's like trapped in the transporter or like has a vision in the transporters.
Phillipe, of all of the Barclay episodes, is this your favorite, the introduction?
This is the one I remember the most. I remember the genius one too. I don't remember the transporter one.
Okay.
I just remember liking Barclay just because like
There's one where he turns into a giant spider.
What?
do not remember that one.
That's a good episode, actually.
What?
Yeah,
It sounds like D&D there.
it's true.
Yeah.
They all start de-evolving. Everyone on the ship starts de-evolving, and they de-evolve into different parts of the DNA strand. So like Worf turns into like the Klingon version of a caveman. Deanna turns into like some kind of like amphibian kind of like fish creature. They find her in the bath and she's got like gills that are going like,
That's weird.
and then Barclay turns into a giant spider. Spot the cat turns into an iguana.
When's the cat gonna come?
Not before the end of this season, I don't think.
Erin needs more cat.
Data gets his cat. So now the whole ship has started to fall apart, man. Like what started as just sort of minor malfunctions
Yeah.
has now turned into the whole ship is going to explode if we can't figure out what the problem is.
And this is where Barclay...
Yeah.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've done everything they can think to do. Nobody knows what the problem
There
is.
doesn't seem to be any correlation between the things that are malfunctioning. Except now he's figured out the only thing that's really been around all of them is them.
It's funny that Wesley didn't have the solution.
This is not a Wesley Saves the Ship episode.
It's
This
a
is a
Barclay.
Barclay
stage.
This is like Wesley is part of the bullying.
Wesley's
class.
part of the problem. Wesley's the one who invents calling him broccoli.
Broccoli, yeah, and when Wesley's punching down on you, you know you're in a bad you're in a bad shape.
Well, Wesley's got a lot of punches he's got to take, so it's part of the vicious cycle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sort of mean girl in the behavior
Yeah.
in this episode.
I think with the engineers, they were all like a little cliquish about it. Like they were all like, when he's late, they're all sort of tutting in their eyes.
right, you can tell they're all just like this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
This bitch. And there's a guy named Duffy.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he should be the lightning rod, right?
Yeah.
Duffy.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got a lot of weird...
There's a lot of funny names in this
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
my
A lot of
God.
made up
Gotta get
names.
that Nvidium out of there. That
I
does
like
not
the
belong.
video.
Yeah.
So remember at the beginning of the episode, Min, one of those canisters broke
over.
open?
Yep.
What they're figuring out is that the stuff that leaked out of that canister got on them, and that's what's been causing the ship to fall apart.
And it's unscannable. Okay.
it's
So
like-
don't think, why didn't they scan for it?
Right.
It's unscannable.
It's unscannable.
It's one of the 15,000 unscannable.
I mean, the ship can't scan for everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that would take forever.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Nvidium.
Yeah.
They only scan for the, common things.
Oh yeah, the sparkly safety gun.
No. That's how you know it's the future.
Jamona. Do a scan.
Scan on it.
Scan on.
We didn't realize Michael Jackson was from the future.
Yeah.
But the scan, like, there's like gloves that go right to the wrist. That's like not that safe. I mean, the Nvidium's getting everywhere, guys. It's just like, I'm just gonna put my hand in this Nvidium.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Rave light.
There it is. The Nvidium is gorgeous, guys.
Yeah, it's
It's like a
fabulous.
backlight sparkle show.
Beautiful.
They've got to work faster though.
Yeah.
There's that doomsday clock hanging over their heads.
What's the
time to-
doomsday clock?
Their warp is now going
The
so
ship's
fast.
gonna,
Eventually, they're going to go too fast.
The ship's gonna
Ship can't
blow
handle
up
it.
or
There's
whatever.
a timer. It's like they got like 30 seconds left.
But it's real. I mean, even though there are technically stakes in this episode, it's a
Yeah.
pretty low stakes episode.
Uh-huh.
It's really just about the idea of introducing Barclay and
Yeah, because they don't really introduce like the critical
Having a lot of fun with
moment till, like
him.
the end. It doesn't really feel like a build up. It's like a leaky glass and some probe thing.
it's like whenever they do a holodeck episode, they also have to do a the ship's gonna blow up episode just in order to give it something like going on, you
For
know.
the sci-fi guys.
Gravitas. There was so much tech talk in these last few minutes.
Yeah.
They really crammed it in.
I love it when they're like tech talking and then they're like kind of judging each other, like that you think we could do that with the inverter
Right,
manifold?
but then you'd have to flood the reactor manifest.
Yeah.
Like, what? And they're like,
and the other guy's like, oh man,
you'll have to invert the polarity.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can't invert the polarity.
yeah, oh, shit, I didn't even think about that.
I disrupt the warp field bubble. Like,
Yeah.
Man, Matt, you sound really convincing. When
well,
you say those things.
we'll get to it if we do. Maybe next week we'll do Corrections Corner because this episode's almost over. But I was reading some stuff about why some ships have more than 2 warp nacelles. Sometimes they have 3, sometimes they have 4, and there's like long Reddit threads on this subject.
The technobabble about.
Yeah, but they're all like in-world technobabble. Like
Yeah.
the people who write about these things
put a
are
lot-
writing about them like they're real.
Right.
Like as if the physics of it are real.
Yeah. And so, like, when this fake technology becomes prevalent and we have these specific problems, it's already solved on
Right.
Reddit. Exactly.
So people have already figured it all out on
yeah,
Reddit.
exactly.
Because they're like, people are like, well, there can't be 5 because 5 throws off the balance of the matter induction coil.
Yeah.
And it's like, the what of the what?
Yeah.
Like, these are, all of this is imaginary, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well, but that's partly true. But don't you imagine, like, in the future, if they discover something like it, that they would name it after the thing that it was named on in Star Trek,
think?
even if it's not necessarily
They do.
exact.
They have some things named after things. I think this ending is amazing because this one actually like got me as like I thought it was like okay they're wrapping up with him and
Oh, right. We'll never see this character
yeah,
again.
Yeah. And
Oh, is he? Yeah, he's saying goodbye.
yeah,
Right. He's come onto the bridge and he's announced that he's
being
leaving.
transferred. He's he's like requested a transfer or something.
Oh.
Because he's so embarrassed by what they've learned about him. But guess what, man? It's one more fake out. He's not really. He's not really leaving the Enterprise. So at the end here, he deletes all of his programs because he realizes
for-
it's better to live in the real world. Except for one. He keeps one of his programs.
Yeah.
I bet it's the Troi Goddess of Empathy one, don't you think?
I hope so.
Yeah, that was my theory.
No,
I feel like this was like
Therapy.
called "Your Boss Finds Your Browser History." It's like
Nowadays, that's what it would be, right?
it's not like he can't recreate the programs. Yeah.
but technically deleted, so he can say that on his
Yeah.
report.
I think that is a very good episode of
Right?
Star Trek.
Definitely.
Interesting.
Did you like it, Erin?
I
Did you enjoy
did.
watching
I
it?
enjoyed it.
Any thoughts?
There wasn't a lot of Guinan in it, but
Lots of deep thoughts. No, I think I would respect someone's privacy on the holodeck.
there doesn't seem it feels like the holodeck is kind of the Wild West. Like it feels like there aren't a lot of rules
Yeah.
and laws involving the
Yeah.
holodeck. Like
And that's where you get into those areas of like
holodeck law would be
addiction
like a
and,
real interesting area of the law. If you were a future lawyer, like you could be involved in holodeck law. Like that would be an interesting.
Yeah,
area to
I mean
get into.
it's interesting because you can, you start thinking about all the sexy stuff, and that's like where your mind goes. Ooh, that's great. But it's like just the more mundane murder. You can just
Yeah.
murder a bunch of people on the holodeck.
Right, exactly.
And
you know?
and then we were like, it's a holodeck. It's like a video game. It's like when is it not?
Where's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
line?
there's an episode we'll watch someday where it's a Western. They go into the holodeck and it's all Western themed, and they shoot a bunch of people in that episode with their 6 shooters. Yeah, but they're all fake people. So
Yeah.
But they're not people on the crew. They're just
they're just regular old holodecks.
Yep.
But what difference does it make? Is there a difference between a holodeck that is not based on a real person and a hologram that is based on a real person?
Yeah, and then like
I don't
then
think
what
so.
what rights does that person have? And then where does
Do you have the rights to your own image? Do you have the rights to say I don't consent to my image being used
I would hope so.
on the holodeck?
Yeah, I think in the and the future copyright law will be so extensive that you will not be able to use any likeness without the written permission. Like, could you could you, and this is the height of like what I think of felonies, is like reprogress a Major League Baseball game without the written consent of
You're just
The only
having,
thing
like-
you think that is because they say it at the end of every sporting event.
I'm just like, well, could they
I mean, Google and Facebook are already using every picture you've ever taken for
Absolutely.
whatever purposes they want.
but you
right?
sign a term of you sign on their term of service that like we're going to use this when you go into Facebook.
True.
But you don't read it. You just sign it.
lot of
Just
words.
agree to it.
Well, I think it's definitely a sticky field and a sticky subject.
Okay.
And it's
well,
very
thank you.
prevalent today.
Hmm.
It's very true for today.
Yeah.
And
it's-
and I feel
it's
like
sticky,
it
all right, man. I saw what you did there, man.
Yeah.
I also think
Ben
it's
is
just a good
imagining himself
message.
as the janitor that has to clean up holodeck too. This is like, oh man, yeah. Sorry, Barclay was in there for
Barclay had a double session. this week,
double
guys.
session in there.
He had a 3-day weekend. We did not see him the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. He came out looking gaunt.
He was dehydrated.
Oh, dehydrated.
Yeah.
I'm surprised where on the line you guys fall, because you guys are like, it's fine. Whatever happens in the holodeck stays in the holodeck.
I'm not sure I think that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
don't-
That's where I'm leaning, but it's,
It's
I
like
think you should. I think
complicated.
people who are alive, real people, should have the right to
Yeah.
opt out of being portrayed on the holodeck if they don't want to be.
But what happens after you're dead? Like someone could be like Elvis. I could go and like ride Elvis like a pony in the holodeck right now.
Yeah. You
That's
could.
weird. That's weird.
Anything you can do in Photoshop, you should be able to do on
And you can Photoshop it.
I mean, this
Damn
also
near
gets weirdly into like the unintelligible economics of the future because Star Trek is this post-scarcity utopia where there is no money and there is no like
Capital.
profit. There is no like capitalism, at least in the Federation. So, who owns the copyright to Elvis in
Right.
23?
Disney.
Does it
64.
matter?
Disney.
Like who owns Elvis's image? If you want to make an Elvis,
I think
in the holodeck.
Min has an answer.
Yeah, Disney. Although in the Star Trek world, Disney must have been defeated, so they must have battled like all of the big corporations
Yeah.
at some point. To
There really
come
aren't
to
big
utopia.
corporations in Star Trek.
Yeah, not at
Yeah,
all. No
sure.
Coca-Cola, no nothing.
Yeah. Everything is like random, just synthetic.
There are no
Everything
brand
should be
names
replicated.
Yeah,
at all.
none.
Yeah.
They never say I would like a Diet Coke or it's always
Yeah.
it's always like Venusian Bloodwater or whatever. Like
I want the prequel or the series where they
nobody
explore
asked
that.
for a Bud Light on the
Yeah.
Enterprise.
That was the official beer of this Federation
Of
for a
the
long
Federation,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Don't you think Starfleet would be branded? I mean, the Navy, like the real life Navy.
All the ships should be renamed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The AT&T.
The Spuds McKenzie.
Yeah. The Qualcomm.
Spuds McKenzie. Some things we should bring back.
Yeah, so like instead of the Enterprise, it's like the Bank of America,
Qualcomm.
like the U.S.S. Bank of America.
Yeah.
Verizon,
Herbalife.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that was a
Yeah.
good episode, you guys.
Yeah,
Kate,
agreed.
did you have fun joining us?
I
this week?
did. Thank you.
You're
Will
so
you,
welcome.
will you come back next week?
She sort of
I
forced
just
You almost
might.
don't have a choice.
I just might. No, I will.
Erin, do you want to tell people where and how they can find us?
This should be
next time.
interesting.
Next time.
We're on various platforms.
True.
Good night.
Should I do it then?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you all very much for listening. Please go to iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, to rate, review, and subscribe. You can email us at warpedthepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at warpedthepodcast. And buy our merchandise at lunar_flare. Follow us on Twitter at Warped Trek. Follow me at Host Warped. Follow Min to learn about our Dungeons and Dragons and Call of Cthulhu live streams and podcasts at Wet Maynard.
That's the only one I remember. At Wet
at
Maynard.
Wet Maynard.
Yeah. Get wet.
And most importantly, go to patreon.com/warped to become a subscriber, get access to bonus content and additional materials.
Ooh.
Erin, back to you.
Good night. I'm Erin.
I'm
Thanks
Sean.
for listening.
I'm Matt.
I'm Jake.
Phillipe.
Minwin.
And Kate. Bye, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
Hey.
Hey.